yeah, and they started to introduce Islam to Indonesian people, and because it was so peaceful, and the EC has paid a official visit to Indonesia and met with President Joko Widodo, and they signed 11 very important bilateral agreements with each other. They just try to separate Iran
with the
from
power
Indonesia.
of media, you know.
Yeah, they find how they can separate us from each other. For example, they say you are Sunni, you are Shia. You know, sir, even in Sunnis we have several sects. Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, Hanafi. Even in Shia we have several sects. Zaydi, Ismaili, and others. So the difference between some Sunni sects is bigger than Sunni and Shia itself. You know, between Wahhabis and Shafi'is. Why Indonesia is supporting Palestine? You know, I asked this from some officials in Indonesia. They told me because in Indonesian Pancasila and Indonesian constitution, it is mentioned that Indonesia must support
against any kind of colonialism
movements. It is the same with Iran. In constitution of Iran, Iran have to support all the liberation movements all over the world. And we believe that the resistance access in the region are just there is a regime, there is a occupier regime that they came and occupied this land of Palestine. So there are some minority groups like Hezbollah, like Hamas, like even Fatah, like others. They are resisting against the Zionist regime, and we support them. It is not terrorism, you know. They are
so
terrorists.
Basically, we are in the same position because there are some misunderstanding also in Indonesia. Like the case of Palestine is a conflict between Islam and Christian, which is not, you know. Because
not Christian, Jews.
But that's the general understanding.
Yes.
Because for us, it's about the same constitution which elaborate that we are against any kind of colonialism.
No, I let me correct that, sir. The subject of Palestine is the conflict between Islam and Zionism, not the Judaism. Even the Judaism, even the pure Judaism, most of them are not accepting Zionism. Zionist is a racism. It's a apartheid nowadays. You know, they say that, I have heard that several times. They say that the only people that God has created are Jews, and you cannot be a Jew, can you? You can be a Christian, can you? Yes, you go to the church, you say, I want to be a Christian, they say, okay, accept it. You can be a Shia, you can be for example, any other religion, but you cannot be a Jew, because they say Judaism is not a religion, it's a race. The Zionists say that. And because of that, they say we are superior to the other, races. And because of that, we say that Zionism is a racist movement. They just occupy the land, and they say that in the ancient book we have this land as a
promise from the God.
Paradise of the Jews and something. But even most of the Jews, they don't accept that. We say that some people has occupied some land. It is unacceptable. Because it is occupation. It is not something that you are talking about the interfaith conflict or interfaith even dialogue or something. I make an example for you. For example, some people come and just occupy parts of your house. and after that they say we are going to talk to you. What do you say? You say, okay, you are in my house. Go out, and after that we can talk about everything. You know? The first priority is to stop occupation, and after that we can talk about everything else. Yes, sir.
So do you support the two-state solution?
We believe that at the moment the most important thing is to stop ethnic cleansing and massacre that is happening in Palestine. After that, we can give the opportunity to the. After that, the second is to stop occupation of the Palestinian houses, and for the third step, we must give the Palestinian people the opportunity to decide about their own land. We believe in democracy. If there is not double standard about democracy, we must give the opportunity to the people of Palestine to just go to a general election and decide about their land, and anything that Palestinian people decide about that in a general election, we agree with that. But for the two-state solution, I can tell you, there is no two-state. There is a land, there is a people, and there is an occupier regime. They are occupying the land. As I just, my previous example, if somebody comes to your home and just occupies parts of the home, and after that they talk to you and tell, okay, we are ready to talk about two-owner house. You say, no, you are in my house. What are you talking about? You know, there is no Israel because they don't have any legitimacy to be in the Palestine land. We let, first of all, as I mentioned, first of all, we must stop killing innocent people. Every 10 minutes, one child is being killed in Gaza right now. We must stop this massacre of the innocent people. Secondly, we must stop occupation. And thirdly, we just have a general election and we let everybody, including Muslim, Christians, Jews, every religion, every races to just participate in the general election. As a democracy, you say that democracy is something that West is supporting. So why do they don't like democracy for Palestinian people? So as a democracy, everybody participate in a general election, and after that they decide about their own home, their own country. After they decide about their country, we agree with whatever in the Palestinian people agree. Just like Indonesia, we don't say who is a candidate, who must be elected, who is being elected, who is better to be elected. We just say we work with anybody that Indonesian people elect as their own government and president and vice president, and we just work with them because we respect and to the Indonesian votes.
Now, within the Palestine itself, there is differences in the way they would like to regain, their countries. Like some fractions, and I think the two biggest one is between Fatah and Hamas. How do you see these two groups? Which seems not in one word how to fight against Israel.
We don't want to make any kind of divide between the Palestinian group because they have their own democracy between them as well. Maybe there are people in Palestine that they don't think like each other. They have different thinking and different ways. Nowadays, I think it is not good to think about the dividing because all of them are thinking of supporting Gaza, supporting Palestine, stopping occupation, stopping Zionist regime from ethnic cleansing, stopping this massacre and killing that is happening, madness that is happening in the occupied lands. So nowadays I think we must support them 100%. But I tell you that some people may think that Israel is going to just accept the two-state solution and let some parts of the Palestine to be ruled by the Palestinians. I tell you, sir, it is not going to happen. During last few years, Israel has started more than 20 big wars in the region because they have this idea that the land belongs to us, from Nile in Egypt to Furat in Iraq. So they believe this part of land belongs to us. Even they cannot, but even they finish Gaza, they will not stop attacking to West Bank. Even if they finish, they cannot, we believe that. But even if they can finish whole Palestine, they will not let other Islamic countries around them live peacefully, and they will attack all of them, and they have already started against Lebanon, against Syria, even against Jordan, even against Egypt. We believe that Israelis are not going to be stopped until the international solutions and the community of the international world stop them. I believe in that.
But Israel always ignore the UN resolution.
Yeah, they play with that. They just play with the good cop, the bad cop. They play that. Western countries say, okay, please accept two-state countries. They say no, we don't want that, but they want that. I assure you. For nowadays, they will accept that. They will go for that, but it is not a solution that will stop them.
Okay, before I leave it to these two journalists from Kuatbaca, my last question is very light. This is about Ramadan. How do you see the differences between Ramadan in Iran and Indonesia? We are much more influenced in our culture as well. Because most of us are urbanism. During the last day of Ramadan, usually we call it in Indonesian language Lebaran. People go back to their own kampungs and their own villages. This year it is predicted that 70% of the people will leave Jakarta and also from other big cities to their homeland, hometown. So how do you find it? The difference between Ramadan and Idul Fitr.
Maybe we should better to talk about the similarities than the differences, because there is no difference in Iran. Even we have this whole day ceremony. We fast from the early morning to the night, from dawn to sunset.
So, but you have 4 seasons, right?
Yes, we have 4 seasons. Nowadays in Iran we have winter. We have a lot of snow, we have a lot of skiing in Iran. But still people, in Iran, no restaurant is allowed to be open during the days in Ramadan, and they just open after iftar. All the restaurants, they are not allowed. Because
so during summer, what time is the breaking?
For Ramadan?
Yeah, during summer. Because I experienced Ramadan in Russia, 20 hours,
It's not easy, but people obey that. Usually, most of the people obey that, but it's not easy, I tell you. In southern Iran, the climate is so hot, and it's very difficult, but you can see that people, even the teenagers, they like to have the fasting.
So the same thing happened in summer in Iran, that's a long time.
Sometimes I have seen several even during the war, Iran Saddam war, the Ramadan was in winter, and we were fighting in the southern Iran in the very hot weather. It was sometimes more than 45 degrees. And it was very difficult, but we decided to have our fasting. So it was not easy, but people like to be good Muslims, so they obey the Islamic laws, and they just try to keep their fasting.
Is there a big movement from capital or big cities to more regional areas from the people?
Big what? Sorry.
Movement of the people during Idul Fitr.
Yeah, we don't have a very long holiday like Indonesia do, but we have holidays. We have 2 days or 3 days holiday at the end of the Ramadan for Eid al-Fitr, and people usually go back to their hometowns at that time. And some people from capital, they go to the better areas just to celebrate the Eid al-Fitr and enjoy the holidays. Yes.
I have a lot of questions for you, but first of all, I will ask about Muslim world, because about 2023, Iranian have restoration with Saudi Arabia, and I see that in the media that Iranian people has celebrated happily. I just want to know what Iranian people hope about that case, and what Iranian government see about the future of Muslim world united.
Sorry, I did not understand the question very good. What is the you know the relation between Iran and Saudi Arabia? Yeah.
Yes, but it has a restoration in 2023 after close diplomatic relation.
Yes.
For a decade, and then I just see that there are a lot of people, Iranian people, who celebrate it happily, and then I just want to know that what Iranian government see about the future of Muslim world united in the future.
Yeah. Our ideal situation is the Muslim world to be united, because it is the necessary need of the Muslim world right now. We always say our position in the OIC and other Islamic organization, that the most important thing that the Muslim world needs nowadays is to be united. Because for example, the attacks against Muslim countries by the Zionist regime of Israel. If we are united, they cannot do anything. But if they are not united, they can go step by step, country by country. They can attack this country, and everybody is silent. So they will be encouraged to attack the other countries, but everybody is still silent. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei told that had a message to the OIC conference, and he told that you are deciding about the things that are not in your hands, like ceasefire. You cannot make the ceasefire because you cannot make the Zionist regime to stop, attacks. You talk about the peace, you talk about the stopping occupation. These things are not in your hands. But the things that you can do, you do not talk about that. You can talk about to be united. You can talk about some kind of sanctions against Israel. You can talk about some political and economic pressure on the Israel. This is in your hands. So you should better to decide about what is your hand. What is in your hands? So that's the problem. Iran is doing their best to make the Islamic world more united, and just put the differences aside. We don't talk about the differences with any neighbors and any countries. I mean the religious differences, the maybe sometimes the land problem that we have with our neighbors. For example, in this area, you have many land problem with your neighbors, Philippines with China, China with. But someday the countries of Southeast Asia decided to just put the differences aside and just decide about some kind of cooperation. You call it ASEAN nowadays, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So the nature of OIC, Organization for Islamic Cooperation, is to just have cooperation and unification between the Islamic countries, but it did not happen yet. So our position is that the first priority of Islamic world is to be united, to try to be united, and put the differences aside and just talk about the similarities and common interests that Islamic world has.
Okay, as you said before that Indonesia and Iran have historical relation, and I just find there's a lot of snacks, Iranian snacks that have a similarity with Indonesia, like something like samosa.
Samosa,
With it.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
called pastel.
Yeah.
And also about balal,
Balal.
roasted corn.
Yeah, Balal, yes. But with the same name, we have it in Persian language as well. We,
And most of them have the same concept culinary in Indonesia and Iran. I just want to know what what you see about this potential business in the future in Indonesia.
there are many potentials for the business between Iran and Indonesia in the many fields, because Indonesia and Iran, first of all, they don't have any political problem with each other. Second of all, both countries' leaders are willing to have the cooperation with each other. And thirdly, we have our economy complete each other, because, for example, for the area of the agriculture, you have tropical fruits, we have other fruits, so we can have this kind of
export
exchange
wheat to
with each
Indonesia,
other.
because Indonesians are the second biggest eater of noodle and we import a lot of wheat. I think you grow wheat as well in Iran.
Yes. And we enjoy the same culture. Maybe most of the food are popular here. We don't like spicy foods, but with the same food like satay without spice, it's ideal for us. But we have also some problem right now for the expanding cooperation between the two countries. For example, the long distance between two countries. There is no direct flight between two countries. Sanctions made some companies cautious about having cooperation with Iran. There are some kind of, for example, transferring money, but it is still under the sanctions. So there are some problems, but we believe that there are many capacities to just accelerate the cooperation between Iran and Indonesia. And I am doing my best. When I was going to come to Indonesia, I met Iranian President, His Excellency Raisi, Dr. Raisi. And Dr. Raisi told me that you should better to implement all the agreement that we have signed with Indonesian counterpart, His Excellency Honorable President of Indonesia, Joko Widodo. So there are 11 MOUs, agreements, and documents that has been signed at that visit to Indonesia. And one of my main job is to implement them. And if it happens, for sure the cooperation in many areas between Iran and Indonesia will be excellent. Yes.
Right. When I was a little kid, I have seen a lot of Iranian athletes participate in the Pencaksilat World Championship, and this is so how popular Indonesian culture in Iran, and vice versa. What about Iranian culture that potentially will be admired in Indonesia?
We are enjoying the same culture, because both of cultures of two countries are affected from the Islamic culture. So we have the same culture for Ramadan, we have the same culture for Eid al-Fitr, we have the same culture for Eid al-Adha, we have the same culture for Maulid Nabi. So we are enjoying the same culture. Also for the music, for the film festivals. Our cultural section in the embassy is doing their best to have the cooperation with Indonesian side in that areas as well. Maybe in the coming weeks we are going to have the cultural week with Indonesian
It will be at the
friends.
embassy?
No, we are talking to the Indonesian side that one of them, because it is more than maybe 20 years that we stopped to have the cultural week with each other. So this time we must decide. The first one has happened, as it is going to happen in Indonesia or in Iran. So when we decide with the Indonesian part, maybe they will go to Iran to have the cultural week in Iran, or we will have it in Indonesia. But after we decide, we are going to have that. We are going to have some film festival in Iran. Also about the Islamic ceremonies like Quran reciting competitions. Always Indonesian participate in Iranian competitions and vice versa. We have many. It's not countable that you say how many capacities there are to make the cooperation in cultural field with between Indonesia and Iran. Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Any more questions?
I think I have seen that Iran are less exposed in Indonesia for media coverage. So, however, we as a media press have interest and curiosity about Iranian, to cover Iranian directly. So maybe I would hope that Iranian would have a media cooperation with kuatbacacom and maybe for a festival in
You mean press cooperation between Iranian media and Iran, yeah?
Yes, media in Iran.
Yeah, that's what I am always thinking of. About the Indonesian media previously, 20 years ago, we didn't have cultural section in the embassy, cultural consulate in the embassy, so I was the head of the political and cultural section of the embassy. So at that time my main problem was most of the Indonesian media, they took their information and news from the Western propaganda and media and just translated and just one of my job was at that time to just be prepared to reply the false news from Western media. Nowadays the situation is better because the media has developed a lot and you access to many kind of medias, but still I have this very small problem that some of the Indonesian media, they take their news from the Western companies that mostly are supported and are just affiliated by the Jews, by the Zionists. So they just broadcast false information about Iran. I just suggest to Indonesian media to drink the water from the main spring. They don't take the news from the middle Western media. Because in Persian language we say no cat hunts rats for God. No media they broadcast any news for God. They just have some aims and they follow their aims. So we must be careful about that. Nowadays my public diplomacy colleague in the embassy told me that there are some news about the women, about the some false information in the Indonesian, some of the Indonesian media. I followed the news. I saw that they are translating the news from the Western media. So if you go easily, not from Iranian media, just from some medias that they are not taking one side, you can see that most of the information are false and they are not true. And of course, we welcome cooperation and close relation between Iranian and Indonesian media.
Isn't there any cooperation between IRNA, I think the state agency, right?
Yeah, we have
And then
IRNA, we have
Antara here?
ISNA, we have IBNA, we have many agencies, but IRNA is the governmental news agency. And even if any reporters and journalists are going to go to Iran, we facilitate for them. They can go to Iran and they just can talk to the ordinary people in the street and know how is the situation. Because if you are going to know Iran through Western media, you will find a hell over there that everybody is under the pressure, everybody is dying, the women are under very big pressure. But when you go to Iran and you talk to the ordinary people and ordinary women in the street, and you can see how is the situation, your imagination about Iran for sure will change 100%, 180 degrees.
Seeing is believing.
Yeah. I suggest you, whenever you are going to go to Iran, we are ready in the embassy to facilitate for that. Facilitate that for you. Yes.
Thank you, Excellency. It's been very nice discussion with different topics, sometimes very sensitive, but we need you to clarify yourself, Although we had previously our ambassador in Iran also told the same thing about Iran, and how close actually our relations are. Para pemirsa kuatbacacom, untuk ini kita mengakhiri acara Diplomatic Club hari ini. Mudah-mudahan apa yang disampaikan oleh Duta Besar Iran, Bapak Muhammad Boroujerdi, bisa memberikan satu informasi baru mengenai isu yang selama ini agak sensitif. Saya kira tadi sudah jelaskan. Jadi tidak benar bahwa Syiah itu mengakui Ali sebagai nabi, karena dia memang tidak mendapat wahyu, dia hanya sebagai seorang pemimpin buat Islam. Jadi saya kira ini sudah clear. Terima kasih partisipasinya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you.